Hello everybody, Dragon4 here again. I really gotta do something about this so I don't keep getting killed instantly on spawn. Yeah, well, got a couple of nice, interesting new things this week. Oh, wow. That one actually survived. Usually the APC ends up just dying in the forest when a tank shoots it. Accidentally, I'm sure. Either way, first thing, missed him driving around. Well, the missile batteries now, the missile trucks, they can be set to drive to a certain waypoint, and upon arriving, they will sit there for a few seconds, and then they will set up, and then every 15 or so seconds, as it's set to right now, they fire a missile. It will fly up into the airways, and then it will come down. I'm going to need to add a more glowy rear section to them so that you can better see them, but as you can see, imagine something like this firing at you from the next valley over is definitely something that can be annoying and requires your attention. Next would probably be the JLTV, little artillery calling unit. So got the mesh in there, also did the UVW maps and everything so I can go and start texturing it. The wheels are currently stopgap, I just pulled them off of the other trucks. Ow, I got hit by a helicopter. Well, let's get rid of that. Oh, helicopters. You will notice that they're now firing missiles, as they should be. Their missiles are a bit different from most others, though, in that they don't turn super well, but they can still hit you from the front well enough. But if they lose track of you for more than a second, then they'll just fly off in a straight direction. So there, it tries to turn, but then it loses you, and I ran into a hillside. Either way, so as long as you can dodge them right off the bat, then you're relatively safe against these ones, which means that they're more dangerous when they chase you than if you're actually flying after them, or if you're slowly dogfighting them like this, then they're also relatively accurate. So, attack helicopters, I need to make them a bit faster chasing. Once they go into attack mode right now, they tend to lose a bit of their speed. So I need to update their AI so that that isn't as much of an issue. Well, and here's the other new unit. Well, the new unit proper, the anti-aircraft tank. It is capable of hitting you from a very long range with a continuous, or at least a very long stream of anti-aircraft fire. Let's blow one of those up. In addition, it's got some missiles on the back. Currently I've set it so it can fire 3 missiles in a row before it needs to reload. I say as I clearly watch it firing more than 3 missiles in a row. Oh well, that bugged, I guess. Well, the idea is that it can fire 3 missiles out of the top, and then that will fold back down inside, and then it will reload. So if you arrive at it with a brand new at the beginning of the fight, you'll get 3 or so, however many I end up setting it to, missiles coming at you, all in very short succession, plus the bullets, which, as you'll notice, are higher velocity than the minigun on top of the APC. Oh, did it finally go down? Yes, it did. So yeah, as you can see, the missile rack on the back folds down, and here it comes again. I think I might have just messed up the variable at the beginning, because yeah, it ends up now folding down, so I think I just left the initial value of the number of missiles that it has it something too high, or actually possibly a negative number, since it stops when it reaches 6, or 3, whatever the current number is set to, which is currently 3. Originally it was 6 because I modeled that with 6, but 6 was seeming to last too long, but that could have just been because of the bug. So, either way, the result is that against these, when you first come after them, they'll be very strong on defense, but then they will get weaker for a short while. If you stay around long enough for them to completely empty all of their attacks, they'll do a full reload. But on the other hand, if you just try and do like a pop-up attack and disappear, and the thing doesn't have anything to shoot at, but it hasn't fired all of its missiles, it'll close down the launcher and start reloading, but it'll only have to reload 1 missile at a time, which is doesn't mean, it means that it's not indisposed of quite as long as if it had completely run out of missiles. So against this thing, you want to expose yourself at a bit of distance and then quickly charge in while it's relatively, and I say relatively, weak. At the end of the day, the quad guns have currently 150 ammo, so they take about 10 or 15 seconds to run out, and they're relatively high velocity, so the AA tank is, it'll generally be arguably more dangerous to the player than the conventional tank, but the AA tank will not be overall quite as numerous because, like today, they're just not as numerous as main battle tanks because when they're only usable really against modern attack helicopters, and even then they're falling out of favor because modern attack helicopters are increasingly effective at firing with non-line-of-sight weapons and other stuff. It's, yeah, either way, so these things, there won't be as many of them, but they're definitely going to be one of the more dangerous things for the player to fight when they do find them. And it is also UV unwrapped, so I can get around to texturing that, like with the JLTV sometime this week. You'll also notice that a first pass texture on the B-52 was done, so it's looking slightly better. And then over here we have a first pass on the frontal drill part. Now keep in mind this is going to be textured, so it's got a giant glowing molten core section down there, because this thing works by melting all the rock that it sucks into it, and then it's going to be spewing bits of molten rock out through these chutes on the side, and these sections are going to be the tread-like tracks that push it through the ground. The other ones all have just tiny ones. This thing has full-size tracks going all the way up the sides. So this is going to be the one that's at the front of a train, or a chain of modules when the AAFS does one of those archway leaps through the air, and that's what's going to be spiraling and spinning out pieces of molten rock everywhere. And goodbye tank. Well, it is a tank. It's not as well armored as the main battle tank, but it's definitely better armored than the light transport. It's kind of like a half tank. It's a spag, whatever. So yeah, that's more or less it as far as this week's stuff goes. For the most part, just been working on some art assets and plugging a few things in, getting rid of a couple of bugs and stuff here and there, like the bomber is slightly more predictable and effective when it flies. Some of the weapons are a little bit more consistent. A couple little back-end things to make stuff work a little bit better, to deal with a couple of the line-of-sight related issues to some of the things we're having, both for the better and for worse in some cases. So yeah, for the most part, just some small back-end things and making some art assets, adding some new units. So that's it for this week. Hope you've all been having a good week. And if not, then hope you have a good week in the coming week. Yeah, ranty time is over. I'm done. And in case you forgot, this was the original boring front, meant for being a bit slower. Missiles. Yeah. I still need to, I'm probably going to try and model the Gauss module on this week. That way I'll have all of the currently main planned modules done. I've got a couple of other ideas for ones, but I'm not quite as well sure how they'll balance and fit into everything. So I'm slightly more uncertain about adding them. But these are the four main types: the gun module, the missile module, the drill module, and the Gauss module. The Gauss module is kind of like a just single shot cannon, very, very high velocity, virtually undodgeable, and if you're in line of sight, you can expect to be dead in most cases from one shot. Also, it sets the air on fire, just like a giant blue ball of burning fire with blast trails flying out away from where it hit you, so it's going to be area of effect death. If you're blocking and well built for blocking and not injured yet, you can survive blocking one of them. I plan on having it be, but you need to get out of the area quickly. And even if they ever do miss you because you're really far away and like teleporting around or doing something, oh right, another art asset thingy made a really temporary quick icon down in the lower right for the teleport, so it's no longer a little blank pagey thing. Either way, Gauss Cannon's going to be deadly. Art assets are being done. I am driving into the hillside. And yeah. For the record, that's because I'm in free camera rotation. I'm not really paying attention to where it's flying when that's happening, and the result can easily be bad. Pew pew. Ow. Also, plane mode currently doesn't handle that well with bumping into stuff. I might want to change this so that it can, yeah, not do this when it meets too hard of an object. Oh well. So yeah, bye. Belated second, third, fourth, however many times it's been. Goodbye.